Well, hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to our Red Letter study. And today, again, we will jump into a mini parable, one very well known, the unjust judge. It's a parable we know very well and sometimes misunderstand. And again, I'm not here saying I'm right, they're wrong, but to say let's read it in its context. And speaking of context, when you look at the end of chapter 17, you see Jesus is answering a question from the Pharisees about the end times, about the great coming of the Messiah. And he says, don't be fooled by those who will say he's over here, over there, because his coming will be like a flash of lightning. It will strike all over the world at once. It will be undeniable. And he says, during that time, when he comes, during that time, it will be like the time of Noah, like the days of Lot. People will continue their lives as if, and then boom, he comes like a thief in the night, in surprise. See, that's the context, because as we will see when you move on to our parable, there seems to be a continuation. So even though there's a chapter division, Luke 18, it seems to be the same moment that this is happening. And that's important. So, what is going on in this parable? Let's look at it together. And he told them a parable to the effect that they ought always to pray and not lose heart. Two things to take into consideration here. The first, and he told them a parable. See, the end really seems to connect with what just happened. Like, he's surrounded by people. The Pharisees ask him a question. He's done answering. The Pharisees are still there. The disciples are there. And he tells them. Maybe they've left by now. I don't know. But the crowd still seems to be the same that just heard this discourse about what the coming of the Messiah will be like. How the people will be like. And he decides to tell them a parable. The second thing is what Luke does say. And that's where you have to be specific. Luke says that the goal of this parable, or the effect of it, is that people should always be praying and not lose heart. That's it. See, to make it about if you keep asking God, he will give you stuff. And we don't always say it like that, but it kind of comes out like that when it's preached by many people. This is all about, be persevering in prayer and you'll have your answered prayers. Now, Luke says that this is about convincing people, putting in their hearts to keep praying and not lose heart. I said just persevere. Period. See, right there, it's right there. Period. And it's what Jesus says about it, because he's going to add to the reasoning of the parable at the end. He's going to give his own reasoning. That's one of the beautiful things about this parable. Many times Jesus just mic drops and walks away. We don't know what he means. Here, we do. He's going to tell us. So what's the parable about? He said, in a certain city, there was a judge who neither feared God nor respected man. And there was a widow in that city who kept coming to him and saying, give me justice against my adversaries. That was what he mean. So again, there's a few things to know. One, they're in the same city. So that both of them are known, it seems, in that same city. And we can see the contrast between this judge that was honored and respected among the Israelite people and a widow. Now a widow was someone who was not disdained but seen as less, because she has no husband to represent her. And in court, actually, you couldn't go as a woman in court. It was your lawyer would go, or your husband, your kids. And the fact that she has to go means she has no money for lawyers, probably no husband. Well, of course, no husband, she's a widow, but no sons either. She's all alone. So you have this great honorable judge and this pathetic widow. You see the contrast Jesus is saying. Like in this city, they're probably known. This guy is the great judge, and she's the pathetic widow. And this judge, Jesus says, he didn't fear God or respect man. Two things you needed to be a judge in Israel. When Solomon set up the judge around the city during his reign, he told them that they had to fear God and honor man. There was a sense where this is your mandate. This guy has neither of them. So he released Jesus, showing him in the darkest light possible. And then the widow, of course, the most pathetic light possible. That's important. Because he told us about Noah and the people of his time. He told us Lot and the people of his time. And Peter tells us about Lot, that this righteous man vexed his soul by what he saw in Sodom. And Sodom, when he tried to convince them not to act in their wicked ways, they just told him to basically shut up. And same thing for Noah, who preached for 100 years, repent. People basically said, shut up. So you can see the contrast compared to what was said before, and we're starting to see something here pop up. So she's seeking for justice, for things to be made right towards her adversary. What's going to happen now? For a while he refused, but afterward he said to himself, though I neither fear God nor respect man, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will give her justice, so that she will not beat me down by her continual coming. Again, so much to be seen here. We begin with the way he sees himself. The judge also says, like Jesus says of him, that he doesn't fear God nor respects man. This judge himself says, I am not a good judge. I am not a good judge of Israel. I am not following the mandate of what it means to be a judge. Remarkable, right? Jesus is really saying he recognizes he is in darkness. And this man acts not because it is right and good, but because he wants to get her off his back. And yeah, take note of that. How in the end he talks about what he wants is to get her off her back, right? By her continual coming. I just want to get her off my back. And he's presenting that as a wrong reason to act. Let's keep that in mind. But this notion of not only being bothered, but having been beaten down, literally, the expression here is having a black eye. It literally means that in Greek. It's a kind of a Jewish idiom, they said, or a saying, like we have too. You know, when we talk about having a black eye. And it probably means, and I say probably, means this idea of having a bad reputation. Remember, it's the same city, well known. This poor, pathetic widow keeps coming to his court every day. People see it. What's this judge doing? Why is he letting her come to his court? So they'll get off his back so that they won't start judging him for like having interactions with this pathetic widow. That sense of having a black eye. Now, the possibility, of course, is what they've translated here, literally, that she keeps bothering me with her words instead of beating me down with her words. But I kind of prefer the other one. It makes sense if you consider, again, how Jesus presented this judge and how he compared her to the widow in the city. But the important part is this guy is not acting for the right reasons. And this is where we get the commentary from Jesus. And the Lord said, hear what the unrighteous judge says. And will not God give justice to his elect, who cry to him day and night? Will he delay long over them? This is what we call an argument from the lesser to the greater. We said that in many of the parables where something human is presented, either a father who's not perfect, he even calls him evil, or the house person that comes is bothered at midnight. And then Jesus says, and God, in the sense of he's far greater. That's the notion. See, this guy is a horrible judge, but God is far greater than that. His way of interacting with his poor, pathetic people in grace and mercy is far greater than this unjust judge. He doesn't just want to get you off her back. He doesn't want to just give you what you want so you stop pestering him like little kids. See, he's not like that. He's not like that judge. That's not the point. Now, he even talks about giving them justice to his elect. And that's important. Not giving them what they want, or even giving them what they ask. Justice. Because again, he's presented as the good judge. A good judge who hears your case and gives you what is just, what is right according to his great wisdom and love, and knows what's best for you. And I love that he says that it won't take too much time, right? He will not delay over it. The same way a judge kept stretching it out and waiting not to give her righteousness, her judgment. God won't do that. Think of that for a second, because we're quick to say, no, God, it takes too much time. I've been asking for a wife for years now, or a baby, or whatever. But God says, no, he doesn't take too long. It's always on time. He even continues with this beautiful exclamation mark. I tell you, he will give justice to them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? This is where we connect back to the end times discussion from the end of chapter 17. So that's important. We see that this is a situation of prayer in the context of depraved society, continue on in their way of life, time of Noah, time of Lot, very specific, right? And us crying out for justice to be served, for what is right to happen, which includes the salvation of those their sinners, right? Let's not forget that. Salvation of our family, who mocks us and ridicules our faith. What are you doing, especially in this day and age? So, in that context, he says, will he find faith? See, this isn't more of a, are you sure you have enough faith type of argument from Jesus, type of smacking us down. Does any Christian have faith here? Big bold faith, to do big bold miracles like some preachers tend to do or use from this. No. This is about the kind of faith that trusts God, his timing, his judgment, and just says, in his time. I mean, again, Noah, 100 years of building this boat, being mocked and ridiculed, preparing the way until God said, now it's time. Now it's time, 100 years later. And yet the time was speedily, was not delayed, according to Jesus. Because God's timing is never ours. But he brought righteousness. He proved that Noah was right in the idea of the coming flood that he was prophesying for 100 years. Same thing like Lot, which was way more speedily, right? That very day when he's saying, no, you guys need to stop this evil. And that very night, destruction came. Just a few minutes after he had left with his daughters. So again, this is a call to trust God, that kind of faith. Trust his judgment and his timing and wait upon him in all these things. And know that he is a just judge. He will do or answer our prayer according to his great righteousness and judgments and goodness and love for us. Unlike that evil, unfearing, uncaring judge. So, brothers and sisters, trust our great God, like this parable calls us to. Wait upon him and persevere in prayer. Do not lose heart. And on this note, be blessed.